let's jump to this UBI thing. I want to talk about. Do I have this? Let's talk about universal basic income and Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
Service guarantees.
We've talked about it a lot on the show, actually.
Have we? Service guarantees
comes
citizenship.
up a lot. Yeah.
Service guaranteed citizenship.
Yeah, basically, right?
Oh, there we go. So here's what I was getting to, right? So in the previous segment, we're talking about you have a bunch of people who refuse to read evidence, who refuse to watch videos, and just want to be angry. And these people vote. And that voting impacts how society functions. And they vote for people who exploit their unwillingness to actually read and understand and engage. So the example I used was someone who said, like, someone sends them a video of like, here's Tim's opinion, and they go, let me stop you right there. I don't need to watch a video.
It may prove me wrong, so I'm not going to watch it.
It's not even that. It's like people.
Oh, that's in there.
They're just, their brains are closed. Like, I know. I don't need anybody to show me anything. I know. And that person goes and votes. So that gets me thinking, like, I'm for the most part not in favor of the Starship Troopers argument about service guaranteed citizenship.
Okay.
But I think it's an interesting idea we're talking about.
Or just the simple right to vote if you serve.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's one thing to become a citizen, but then you can be a citizen, but then have the ability to vote. I know they're not exactly the same thing. It's almost
for those that aren't familiar with Starship Troopers, it's basically like everyone has equal rights, but only citizens vote. What are they called? Civilians and citizens, right?
Oh, okay.
Is that what it was? I think it was.
Man, it's been too long since I've seen this movie.
And the book apparently was like a lot better, but basically all the civilians have equal rights, free speech, whatever. If you want to vote, you have to sign up for, I think, was it 2 years?
I think so, yeah.
And then after 2 years, you become a citizen, and now you enjoy the right to vote and run for office and elect people. And it's funny because a lot of people on the left have claimed Starship Troopers is a model of fascism, where it's like you have to serve the military before. But I don't think that's even true for the book. I think it was like civil service, not military service.
Oh, okay.
I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I don't know. I want to talk about universal basic income, but I'll first ask you, what do you think about that idea?
Well, I mean, what would be a civil service? Like working at the post office, or
I guess DMV, maybe
DMV. So working a regular job that is in the government, something, working on roads, fixing roads, cleaning up the side of the highway, like what, that kind of stuff.
Probably.
I mean, something like that,
and that could include military service.
Okay.
But military service doesn't mean combat. As a lot of people don't understand too. They think it means you're going to go out with a gun. And so like that's actually the response I got from Cameron Kasky. I don't know if you know who he is. He's one of the survivors from Parkland who did like a big press. He got a bunch of press after Parkland, the Parkland shooting.
Oh,
he's a cool dude. I think he's a cool dude. But his response to me. So here's what I said. What if universal basic income came with mandatory civil service? The Army is recruiting and they pay your bills and college, right? I wasn't saying everyone should have to join the Army in order to get universal basic income. I was making a point about how there is an easy path to getting government wages, college, healthcare, and join the Army. You know what I mean?
True.
It's one example of civil service. His response was, let's throw free speech in there too. Why have the right to speak if you haven't almost been killed? And there's a lot wrong with his immediate response. It's like, first of all, a lot of people in the Army are like desk clerks. You know what I mean? It's like, you know the story of the Covington kids?
Mm-mm.
The kids who were standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial.
Oh, and
Native Americans banging the drum.
They were wearing MAGA hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Native American guy was like, I'm a Vietnam era veteran. Yeah, he was a refrigerator repairman in like Tulsa or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do you know what city he was in?
I don't know.
Yeah, he was just like a refrigerator repairman. People seem to think that like joining the Army means they're like parachuting you into Afghanistan.
Vietnam era.
Yeah, Vietnam era, because he
Indeed.
didn't actually do anything.
Didn't do anything.
And he got like discharged. I don't know what happened to that guy. But that's like the immediate reaction people have. They assume like any service to the government is like, I don't know, death patrol or something.
Yeah.
So for those that aren't familiar with what universal basic income is, I assume most of you are. It's a guaranteed income from the government. So I asked a question. That's it. I didn't say we should do it this way. It should be this way. I was like, what if? What if UBI was mandatory civil service? Meaning everybody got a guaranteed wage, and then you had to do some kind of civil service for some kind of period. I didn't even say what. It was just a question.
I think that would raise the general, what's the term I'm looking for? Just respect for your land and your neighbor, because doing civil service, you're helping others. That's essentially what it is, So I feel a lot of people kind of lose themselves in just maintaining their own personal lives, and they don't let others affect them. They don't care about other people. They just do their own thing, and that tends to lead to things that people get greedy, whatever. I'm sure there's many different ways, but the more you help others, the more empathy you gain, and I think that's a big problem with humans nowadays.
For sure. I think if there was I think we used to have more community-based programs, and now everything's fractured. It's
exactly.
weird.
Yeah,
and like virtual.
Yeah, we need that back.
But here's what I was thinking about this, right? I'm thinking about civil service and universal basic income, and what's really funny is the resistance from those who would typically support UBI.
Okay.
How dare you tell me I would have to work to receive money?
Well, that's kind of telling.
It should be a right, a universal. I'm like, and there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen,
it should be a right to live for free.
If you don't want to give, why should you get?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Has so the point I made in
Someone's
response to him
work.
is free speech costs nothing. Burgers require human labor. So should people have to contribute in order to receive? If not, then where do the burgers come from? If you have 100 people and 100 of them are saying, I would like a burger, but none of them want to work, then there's no burgers.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So I was thinking Andrew Yang has talked about universal basic income being opt-in. If you do, you forego other benefits.
Right.
And so it can actually cut a lot of costs.
That does make sense, actually.
It doesn't necessarily cover the total cost of UBI.
Okay.
However, if not everybody signed up for it, then you might actually be able to do it. Mm-hmm. Now, the challenge, I guess, is, for one, it's definitely a huge government, massive expansion of power and authority and stuff like that, for sure.
That's a good point.
Yeah, definitely. But it's not necessarily bad if it's run, locally and independently locally or something like that. Mm-hmm. But regardless of the merit of whether it's good, bad, the point is it makes infinitely more sense that if the government's just going to be giving you money, you should do something for it. In which case, it's just a national jobs program.
Yeah, basically.
You know what I mean? And then it's like the green. But I'll tell you what. Are you familiar with the Green New Deal?
A little bit.
Yeah. So it was like, guaranteed income for those unwilling to work was one of the things they put in their document. That's the one they pulled, though, right? They panicked and were like, they got rid of it.
Like, it wasn't really our idea.
Yeah. So Ocasio-Cortez puts out a frequently asked questions, and it's like, we're going to give income to people unwilling to work. That's the extent they go. And I'm like, isn't the compromise just create like a federal jobs program where, what if we did like bounties? You know what I mean? Like there could be like a community center where if like people who work in government, there could be a task required that have a set budget, and they would say, here's a job that needs to be done. And then it would pay a set rate, and you could go in and do like freelance government, contributions or civil service or something. Yeah.
I don't know.
Otherwise, what? We just give people free stuff?
I mean, someone can mop a floor, and someone could do a terrible job at mopping the floor. I'm just using mopping the floor as a random idea, but it's like, not everyone's going to do the job well. It's like they could mop half the floor and be like, yeah, I did it. Sure. Give me my income now. Yeah, it's clean. Sure, whatever.
Right. So in that case, you end up not actually getting anything done.
Exactly. Then the government's spending money for people like, yeah, I did the job. And then it ends up being like, they didn't even do the job. They just clicked that they did it, and then they're getting paid. And then it's like,
somebody actually responded with that they were like, that what happens then is the government hires a bunch of kids to dig holes and a bunch of other kids to fill the holes that they just dig. Yeah. They just dug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You want to hear one of the crazier ideas that may be crazy like Fox is paying people who commit crimes. Yeah. That's the punishment. If you commit a crime, they give you money.
Huh.
Yeah. Have you heard that?
Not a very good incentive.
How does that work?
The argument is that it costs us like, $30,000 a year to house an inmate.
Okay.
And if a lot of these crimes are property crimes as the result of poverty, we're better off giving them strict restrictions, like you got to check in, you got to do these things, and then we'll give you cash. Paying criminals not to commit crime is cheaper than actually putting them in jail, and it actually stops the crime.
I like that.
Isn't that weird?
That's work. Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't we go into that? Think about that. That's
because then
legit.
you encourage people to just become criminals for income,
or not be criminals. I mean, yeah, no, you're right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's people have these funny ideas where you think about it and you're like, I get it, and then think about what that means.
It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, I get it. You're right.
You're gonna end up with like, I heard there's a meme about Scandinavians who want to go to jail Because it's awesome.
Because it's
awesome.
nice there.
Yeah, have you heard that? Because
Actually, it's funny that you say that, because there's a jail that's for sale in where her parents live, and it's like right in the middle of town, and I'm looking at the building. It's beautiful. They got TVs in their room. Everyone's got a nice window on like the third or fourth floor, overlooking the water. You
got to give context to her, so you can just.
So this is my wife. This is a small town in Sweden. It's in some islands, so it's like right in the middle of an island. It's right in the entrance of the town, and
it's like a luxury
it's beautiful. I mean, it's for sale. It's like it could be in like a dope Airbnb, but it's a jail. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, that does not look like a jail. Like all the rooms are fairly large.
Yeah.
For what you would expect a jail cell to look like, and it's like
in America,
doesn't look like a cell.
So interestingly, one of the arguments for universal basic income is that it would reduce crime because it would reduce poverty.
Okay.
So it's interesting, and I see this. This is one of the biggest problems just people in general have. Yes, poverty breeds crime. That doesn't necessarily mean giving criminals money will stop crime.
Well, that's kind of like, isn't that kind of like saying that if you just give a homeless person a house, you'll solve the problem? I don't actually see that solving the problem, because there might actually be some underlying issues that aren't just not having a house.
I see another problem is we don't teach, even, whatever class you're in, we're not teaching kids like about money. I didn't learn about money in my school. So like, and especially probably in these poverty areas, they're not like teaching like, all right, so if you make some money, don't just go buy stuff. You need to invest properly. Think about what you need in your life. Like, this isn't something that we're even talking about. It's like that also is part of the problem.
Dude.
They get money from the government and like, oh, I'll go buy a new TV, instead of you need to use that for what you need to use it for, to pay your rent, to make sure you're eating food correctly, furthering yourself instead of just being part of the system that they want. That's what they want.
This is why the question, what if, is so important in any discussion, right? And that's why I tweeted, what if? I'm not saying...
And you get a bunch of emotions being thrown back at you.
Anger and people like,
defensiveness.
Because this is why I find myself in a milquetoast fence-sitting position.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so much involved in what could happen and what needs to happen before any kind of major overhaul of any kind of program. Mm-hmm. No one can predict or calculate. So you sit down with a bunch of people, you talk about it, and if eventually you say, I think we've covered as many bases as possible, let's do a trial run. Well, there you go. If one person just comes out and demands income for people unwilling to work, it's like, dude, you can't just throw a wrench into an engine. You'll break it. It's not going to change. It's like, I think this cog would go good here. Smash.
Yeah,
like,
especially when there's like millions and millions and millions of pieces to this engine, which is America,
Yeah. And so that's grinding and everything's going crazy. Mm-hmm. But I just thought of something when you mentioned that school. What if public schools paid kids for A's, good grades, but it wasn't, they just give them cash. They basically can buy things within the school.
Or give them credit for
it's like
college.
It's like school credits.
Like a future, you're investing in your future. If you get all A's, you're going to get a percentage off whatever college you go to.
No. That I don't.
I'm just spitballing here.
What I'm trying to say is, a school would have a local commissary or something.
Okay.
Candy bars, sodas, lunches.
Sure.
And the school will say, for every A you get on a test, you earn 5 school credits. And 5 school credits is the equivalent of $1 or something.
Okay.
Then the kids actually have an account. They can look at their accounts. They can balance their accounts. They can see what they can spend on. They can trade credits between each other. Actually give them an understanding of how money works, how to save money.
I love it.
The schools could have like an interest system. It's not real cash. It's just like the school could spend, $1,000, a month on like and it could be pens and pencils and erasers and staplers.
Yeah, things they need.
Yep.
I like that.
And then a kid could be like, I got an A on every test in my class. Now I can go get that, candy bar I wanted.
I like that.
Make them actually work and get some benefit from their work and understand the real value of work and what they can buy with it. Instead, what do? We put kids in institutionalized learning facilities where everything is provided for them.
Yep.
And then finally, by the time they graduate with their degree at 22 after college, they're like, tell me what to do, boss.
What do I do, boss?
Why isn't the government...
I need you to do this. Do your job.
Yeah.
That's why I hired you.
And then they vote for communism.
Right.
Because they're like, my entire existence was in a room where someone told me what to do and provided for me.
Yep.
Why should I have to figure out how to make food?
That's what I want.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
That's why all these college kids come out and they're like, communism.
Yes.
The authority. You know what's crazy though?
What?
I think the general idea of communism can only be bred from children. From the immature. There's a better way to put it. Children is just me doing an emotional dig at these people because I think they're...
Yeah, okay.
So I think one of the things we see with millennials is that they never feel like they're ready to take over. And the best example of this is our 3 or 4 70-year-old, 80-year-old presidential figures.
Yep. Good
now,
point.
Tulsi Gabbard, awesome. Pete Buttigieg, awesome. Andrew Yang, awesome.
He's in his 30s, right? Late 30s?
Buttigieg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Buttigieg and Tulsi are both like 37, 38.
That's awesome.
I think. Yang is what? Yang's in his 40s?
That's what we need. Younger blood.
Barely.
Younger blood in the government.
It's fair to say we have a decent amount of political candidates, who are younger.
Yeah.
But I think because of how millennials view themselves, their children, not everybody, like, clearly, not us and not probably the people watching, to be honest.
Yeah.
But a lot of them do. They've never grown up. They've never become adults.
Mm-hmm. They don't want to, more importantly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They have zero interest. It's way easier.
Yeah, it's scary.
They want Grandpa Bernie to take care of them.
Yeah.
Grandpa Bernie. Bernie's like, I'm going to get your dinner for you. I'm going to pay for your school.
I'm going to give you ice cream.
You know what my whole life has been?
Man, you're so right about that. That's true.
It's true, yeah.
I've got to figure out how. Look, dude, we have a garden in the back.
Yeah.
What do we grow? We grew radishes.
We have radishes.
And chives.
We have carrots. We have chives.
You know what the craziest thing? What was that sketch? I don't know if you've ever seen it, where it's this British dude and he looks over and it's on a camera and he goes, hey, you want to hear a way to get rich quick? Check it out. I got these seeds, right? You put them in the ground. That's it. Put some water on them. Food grows up. You can sell it. It grows right out of the ground, just like that. You don't got to do anything. And it's like, has someone ever
genius?
Have these young people ever realized that?
Nope.
But they're so used to, in my opinion, things being given to them that they don't have a concept of how to make, create, source, or be independent.
Yep.
And so they're not. And so they need someone to do things for them. It's like, have you ever solved a problem on your own? They haven't.
And now you think about what our last subject about the SJW clickbaity things that everyone's spreading around on the internet, and it's like that's reaffirming their beliefs that they're owed stuff, that they should get all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just this whole cycle is just never ending and getting worse and worse and worse.
It's a problem of human it's like just human nature. It's this cycle. Yeah. It's like Unilever owns both Dove and Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Dove does the Real Beauty campaign where it's like, you can be overweight, it's no big deal. And then their other property is ice cream, and they're like, eat more ice cream.
And they also own like the lactose medicine for your belly.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
It's like you just sell it in one pack.
Yeah. You know why I always thought that we drink Coke sodas with our Big Macs and fries?
Why?
Because you're eating a big pile of garbage and slogging up your system, so you need a psychoactive stimulant to get you back to feeling normal.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's like a burger is trash, and you eat it, and you're like, oh, I feel terrible. Let me take my caffeine, which is a psychoactive stimulant very similar to cocaine, and you drink a gallon of it, and then you've got...
I can handle anything now.
Yes. Yeah, caffeine makes you euphoric.
Well,
it enhances muscle endurance, makes you less tired, so you eat trash and then drug yourself to feel better. That's like,
I don't like that.
That's just like people got to eat better, dude.
That's a whole nother subject. I feel
totally different.
But it's an example of how glutton culture expands and comes to this point where you literally have people who are morbidly obese and unhealthy being told by the media it's okay to be morbidly obese and unhealthy and eat trash.
You're beautiful.
You're being oppressed. Actually, you take no responsibility for your health. And look, I'll tell you what is what I always clarify. If you know the risks and choose to do it, I don't care.
Right.
But if you think you have no responsibility for your own health and then demand I pay for your health care,
I have issues with that.
It's the perfect example of these people. Dude, let me go out into the woods with a dog. I'll build my own log cabin. Leave me alone. You people have lost your minds. And they just don't want to work. And it's like they just drag everybody down. That's probably one of the most, like, people are going to be like, whoa, man, Tim's going crazy. Red pill law. He's so conservative. Look, at a certain point, what's the saying? If you're not liberal when you're young, you have no heart. And if you're not conservative when you're older, you have no head. Brain. Well, head is better. It's like,
heart and head.
Little alliterative, I guess. But it's not even about that. I think that saying comes from the fact that when these young people finally get their first paycheck and see how much taxes they had to give away, they're like, what? Why? And they start asking questions.
Now that's a red pill.
How much of my money went to killing kids?
Yeah.
Ooh, no, thank you.
Most of it.
I got to pay for that guy's health care? He's smoking a pack a day.
Yeah.
Come on, man. And
eating McDonald's at every meal.
100 pounds.
Dude, I feel like
chugging the Coca-Cola.
It's the best way to, like, these young people haven't experienced someone refusing to take responsibility and then demanding they cover for them.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I
a
mean?
good point.
Because they're the ones constantly demanding.
They become that person.
It's getting really bad to the point where, like, you have these kids in schools where you might argue, were you ever in a lab where you had a partner and the lab partner did no work?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, we're going to fail unless you help. It's like, I'll do it, whatever. And you're like, oh, and then you end up doing all the work.
I have. Yeah.
That'll turn you into a young conservative for sure. But now the kids are just complaining to the teachers they shouldn't have to do it at all. And they're calling teachers racist. And the teachers are like, okay, I'm sorry, class is canceled.
All right, you all get A's.
Yep. Yeah, they're literally doing that. And they're arguing now with their dogma that, like, teachers should give better grades for, like, diversity and inclusion.
And wait, you didn't? We're canceling you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the students will straight up cancel. It's happened, right?
It happens
You know,
to professors,
Brett Weinstein, it's like one of the funniest stories is that they started spreading lies about him. And he's like a progressive lefty guy. And so he's like, some people approached him. I can't remember exactly what happened, but they were calling him like a bigot and a racist. And then he actually started arguing for them, like saying it's humans have inherent bigotry and racism where it's because I don't want to put words in his mouth, but basically the idea as I understand it is humans have a tendency to feel safer around things that are familiar. So they look for people who look like them. So if you try very hard to break down our inherent biases, and they're like, what? But you're the white supremacist. Like when their brains go and they're just broken. Yeah. But you know,
it's a fun image.
Yeah, there's a lot to complain about. I guess we just a random rant today, huh?
Yeah,
just like
that's what it
randomly.
is.
Yeah, whatever.
Because here we are now with everything locked down, and it all stems from, you know, it's I feel kind of sad. It's like you lose a friend to a cult. You know,
that's hard.
Yeah,
they
that's
say
what it feels
things
like. Yeah.
They say things that clearly make no sense. And when you try talking to them, like, listen, let me just ask you one question. The government should provide the food. Where does the food come from?
The farmers.
From the government. I know, but like the government has to get the food from somewhere, right?
Right, yeah.
Well, they just have it. Like, what's your answer? From the farmers. Okay. Where do the farmers get the resources to make the food? Oh, like you said, dude, the food just grows out of the ground. Yeah. Who puts it there? Who pulls it out?
Who's actually doing it for
driving the truck?
Right.
They actually have like automatic trucks, like tractors now that like drive and do it themselves. Pretty cool.
True. But they have to charge those trucks.
That's the real argument for UBI, in my opinion. That's why I like Andrew Yang. Automation is a real argument. Like, what happens when the factories are totally automated?
That's a good point.
Like the farms are.
Granted, we're not there yet, but we are heading there, certainly.
Yeah. So this is why, you know, I ask these questions, because I think the biggest challenge from going from our current capitalistic system to a post-scarcity system, should we ever, it's the middle period where there's a hybrid of it. This is one of the things I brought up on the Rogan podcast last month. We're going to end up with a period where there's people who have to work and people who can't.
Yeah.
What happens when 90% of your population doesn't have to work and 10% does? Kind of like what we're seeing with essential workers.
Yeah.
People have to go out and do all this hard work while we get a $600 bonus for not working.
That's exactly what's happening.
That's like kicking them in the balls. Yeah. Being like, you work for less.
Yeah.
We are going to watch TV and play video games for the next 2 months and get extra money to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
And the extra money thing is like part of the problem. But either way, it's like, could you imagine living in a society where you had a surf class that had to do the labor while you didn't? It's like the Hunger Games.
Yeah, it does feel like it.
I understand it's kind of honorable. We're like, we're going to have UBI and we're going to get to that point where everybody is free. Never going to happen, bro.
Oh, they're all heroes for working. Good job, heroes. I'm going to go back to watching my YouTube videos.
And we're going to pay them less.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.